Imagine waking up in an endless, dead world, a place where no sky greets you, no sun marks the passage of time. All that surrounds you is an ocean of steel, a labyrinth stretching forever. There is no sense of direction, no certainty of survival, only silence, only the void. Blame. So many things wrapped into one. It could be described as a sci-fi psychological horror as easily as it could be labelled a depressing dystopian action. Obviously, spoilers ahead, and this is not a full manga breakdown, just a brief overview arguing why it scares me. The reason people gravitate, pun intended, towards Blame, I think, is due to its approach. It barely focuses on character development, with minimal expression and interactional dialogue, establishing the terrifying Blame universe as the focal point, and in my opinion rejects conventional manga tropes in favour of evoking a desolate sense of foreboding futility. I struggled to attach any emotional connection to most of the characters due to their non-human implications, alongside just utter confusion and what a human or consciousness even is within this twisted hellscape. Instead, the biggest initial impact this manga had upon me was the disturbing sensations I experienced seeing the vast spaces, empty ruins and creatures that Nihei expertly draws. The world is uniquely oppressive. How its architecture functions as both setting and antagonist, with every location littered with potential threats, and Nihei being a celebrated master of design evokes a sense of mystery and unknown in the Escherian-esque terrain, defying logic. Not only this, but we must factor in the haunting imagery of those who inherit the already antagonistic map, because in Blame, space is not just a background, it is an enemy. Married with this, further down, we must observe deeper philosophical ideas that lurk beneath its steel corridors. At the heart of Blame is its setting, the megastructure. Unlike most cyberpunk worlds where towering cities scrape the sky, Blame presents a different kind of dystopia, one where the world itself has grown out of control to become a self-replicating nightmare. There are no streets, no recognizable cities, no borders, just an infinite sprawl of architecture, stacked on top of itself, layer after layer, reaching outward and upward in every direction. For a quick lore summary, the story takes place in an incomprehensibly limitless, ever-growing megastructure known as the City. Humanity has almost vanished, with only scattered survivors and strange hybrid devolutions such as the modified workers seen briefly in the corporation, or the electro-fishers that Sibo and Killy crash with for a while before Sanakan's successful infiltration. Grotesque and horrifying beings known as safeguards consider anything without the net terminal gene, which happens to be all of everything remaining, an enemy and therefore must be brutally executed. Killy, our protagonist, is a mysterious and nearly silent traveller, roaming endlessly across thousands of years in the city, searching for the net terminal gene, fighting against safeguards and silicon life to get it. The genetic key is the only thing that can reconnect humans to the lost control system, fashioned however many eons ago. He carries an immensely powerful weapon, the gravitational beam emitter, which can annihilate almost anything in its path, and is possibly the most broken weapon in any manga I have ever read. And don't get the wrong impression, this story has some of the greatest action scenes in manga, Siu being a rare gem of a human that oozes aura in his cyborganite design, personality and abilities. His personal battle had a magnificent build-up and ending, but outside of those epic fights, it mainly consists of Killy one-shotting anything he encounters, and with the full context of the time spent in the structure, remains depressingly uneventful. Killy does not show much emotion. I saw somewhere that he smiles twice the entire manga. He is not a human himself exactly, to the likeness of you and I at least, and therefore makes it more difficult for us to emotionally invest in the success or failure of his mission and his personality, as we are fed minuscule glimpses, such as his anger in chapter 51, firing his GBE recklessly after restoring himself for 14 years. Blasting, blowing, and booming through the levels of the megastructure, his journey never seems to end. Even the final few chapters are ambiguous and untelling if his mission will be a success as the fight continues. The world is cold and indifferent to life. In most post-apocalyptic stories, there is an underlying sense that civilization once existed, that the remnants of recognizable humanity are still etched upon the walls they no longer pass by. This can be exhibited in stories such as Stray, for example, where robots now inherit the dead cities after humanity was wiped out. But there is a certain warmth, community, and culture left by the humans that lived before. We as human players can attach positive feelings towards these remnants, even with humanity missing, as the colour of life is still visible. Blame denies us even this comfort due to the untold millennia that the story takes to finish. Estimates range from 5,000 to 10,000 years for our protagonist's long journey to escape the Silicon Life's infection, with the net terminal gene able to be born into a child of hope. But that is a minute speck in the history of this manga's universe. Whatever civilization existed before is so far removed that even its ghosts have been erased. The megastructure is not just abandoned, it is post-human in a way that defies a reader's understanding, as we are mere humans under the control and order of time. Antagonists such as the inhuman safeguards add a layer of freakish horror to the story, consisting of a multitude of forms, purposes, and power. They are uncanny in a way that can make you shiver. This panel in chapter 5 still haunts my nightmares to this day, as there really is no sentience behind those cold, glowing eyes. Even with Killy's altered build, we as readers recognize that the safeguards are by all sense of the word predators of humans, and evokes a deep primal uncomfort when they commence their programmed hunting. I believe their lack of malice, enjoyment, or need to hunt humans is even creepier, as they cannot be reasoned or manipulated in any conceivable way. Not only this, but their power grows with horrors such as Sanakan, especially when she brutally transforms the electrofishers into their new forms. Nihei is just unmatched from the manga I have read in his design of robots and cyborgs, and fuses their terror to the structure of the world itself, meaning they are inescapable and will hunt you to your final breath. Another set of antagonists is the Silicon Life, which have the coolest designs in the entire manga. For example, Davine, like damn! Despite their biomechanical augmentations and being a faction who oppose carbon life, they never really scared me like the rest, as they just got too much swag to hate on. And besides, Silicon Life is a constant killy victim because he is a racist. Zooming quite significantly back out, I must talk about the most imposing aspect being the nature of the world itself. Now, I believe the fear blossoms from three things: psychological, philosophical, and human limitations. The first being linked to the sensation named Kenophobia. The definition of this word is an abnormal fear of empty spaces or voids, something that has affected me in my life before. For example, whilst walking empty fields, I had a burning desire to clutch the ground to avoid being sucked up into the abyss of the sky, as the vast yet bare area I was traversing offered no chance to cling on to things, making me feel utterly vulnerable. Kenophobia is also one of the reasons why liminal spaces are so popular and eerie, and the world of Blam could absolutely be described as one, just more cyberpunk and technological than conventionally shown. The unbelievable voids that Killy climbs through is repetitive in the sense it never ends, but fascinating in the sense it always changes. To list some of the most insane aspects of this realm, in chapter 37, Killy and Sibo go up an elevator for over 800 hours, which is around a month, and then travel for another 2,200,000 hours, which is roughly 230 years. In chapter 57, Killy walks up a 3,000 kilometer staircase, and in reaching the top, encounters a Silicon Life who is observing the area. It claims that the place they are in currently has a spherical diameter of 143,000 kilometers. To put that into context, that is larger than the fucking surface of Jupiter, implying the megastructure has extended so far it engulfed planets in its expansion. Off topic, but Killy murking that random silicon life was hilarious. He was minding his business in lonely scientific research just for a guy to blast him for simply being different than himself. Nihei's storytelling is largely wordless. Conversation changed to something rare and desirable. Killy is a mere speck among the machinery of a dead god, where there is no narrator to explain where we are or why things are the way they are. Instead, we experience the world as Killy does, lost, wandering, trying to find something resembling meaning in the endless void, crumbs of exposition in exchange for decades of travelling. This brings me to my second point, the philosophical nature of Blam. The manga is layered both in the physical and the themes. It presents a world where meaning has been stripped away, where history is forgotten, and where survival is the only thing left. Many of the panels with beings are often painted with stoic, unchanging faces, almost as if the status quo is to give up. This fear of a meaningless future is something that humans in the current time experience as well, with a rise in loss of purpose and nihilistic thinking. Many people often waste away with nothing to contribute to society, yet civilization continues moving forwards, just like the megastructure in Blam. It evokes a horror deeper than fear of death. It is the horror of insignificance. The feeling that no matter how far you walk, no matter how long you persist, the world does not care. This makes death more appealing than surviving, as there truly is no hope in this world beyond the unguaranteed myth of the net terminal gene. Killy is largely indifferent to the deaths of his comrades, any humanity long drained from his robotic body. This emotionless aspect, when faced with the deaths of the few good people left in his life, exhibit how the uncaring world can whittle someone down to their base instincts, a reflection upon society's grind slowly deteriorating us. Obviously, this could be a stretch for a futuristic post-apocalyptic world in which Nihei confirmed Killy was at least 3,000 years of age at the beginning of the manga. If nihilism is the belief in the absence of inherent meaning, then Blam serves as one of the purest expressions of that philosophy in manga. There is no honest catharsis, no ultimate revelation, only the endless, indifferent sprawl of the megastructure. We fundamentally cannot relate to Killy's experiences due to our differing anatomy, such as perception of time and emotions that prompt this philosophical thought, and leads me to suggest that his journey is not a tale of triumph, but an aimless drift through a world that has already moved on, a world where humanity is an afterthought at best. He may have reached the outside eventually. We know from the words of Mori, the pendant given a body in the net, that Killy's journey after retrieving the sphere took longer than before, meaning the final chapter takes place potentially tens of thousands of years later. The sphere's birth supposedly is the child with the gene, but we are simply left with ambiguity for the end, suggesting the incredulous damage dealt by the expanding structure and exterminators is potentially irreversible. There is no joy, no true life in the city, no sun, no society, only cold metal and Lovecraftian entities that wish to annihilate you, meaning your life is constantly in jeopardy, and the prize for evading the factions of death is simply a chance to survive the next day. The only reason Killy can enjoy the sense of the continual movement is due to his weapon that seems to defy any structures. As stated by Sibo in chapter 9, every other being is trapped within the stratum they happen to be part of. It brings into question what the meaning of all of this is, as without humanity and biological life flourishing, there is no prosperity, only AI imitating, in a way that offers no purpose apart from expansion. The manga subtly suggests that the expansion of the city was once controlled by a centralized intelligence, but something went wrong. This echoes real-world concerns about artificial intelligence, automation, and the potential for humanity to build systems so vast that they escape our control entirely, married to the desperate need for us to think we matter. This aspect of the story has strong ties with many other cyberpunk stories, such as Detroit Become Human, the film I, Robot, Cyberpunk 22, and Pluto, in which the line between human and robot is blurred many times. The robophobia one may hold for the future of our world could be elevated with reading Blam, as humans are deemed obsolete and unwanted in this future thanks to the advanced state of technology. If you run with the idea that everything is already meaningless, then the nihilistic approach to a world of pure robots is even greater, as they cannot even experience the little dots of pleasure one may find in biological life. Killy is not progressing due to his passions, ideals, desires, or will for a better future. He simply does what he does because he is programmed that way, to protect humanity, with the primary objective of locating the net terminal gene. Overall, the philosophy of Blam could be seen as depressing, nihilistic, and rather bleak. But of course, ambiguous stories offer many interpretations, and perhaps the journey of Killy is inspiring in a sense. Within that bleakness there is beauty. Nihei's art captures a haunting elegance, the delicate balance between decay and infinity, between the crushing weight of emptiness and the defiant persistence of life. Killy's journey, though almost silent and uncertain, is proof that even in the most desolate of places, something endures. It offers the question, if hope for the current humans is futile, should they give up, or persist for their future offspring to live better lives than they could? Or perhaps it is more noble to restrict breeding and allow for the extinction of your race, as the world you inhabit is ultimately impossible for thriving. But if the world will continue without us, maybe the appeal of meaning is that it is not given, but must be created, a homage to Nietzsche's famous saying, will to power. Humanity is that which shall proceed, prosper, and defeat anything, even in the face of an unfeeling universe. And perhaps in some strange way, that is the most hopeful thing of all within the manga. This, coupled with the addition of Blam 2, basically confirms that humanity's hope was restored thanks to the now mythical actions of the hero Killy. So Nihei offers us a satisfactory payoff for the thousands of years Killy endured his mission. However, from a human of today's perspective, none would mentally or physically last that long, so attacking it from the capabilities of our own selves still offers nothing but despair. So yes, this will to power idea is still a valid interpretation. However, my initial response to the original manga, and the one I prefer to associate with, was one of pure dread in the face of this world. To sum everything up, I find the world beautiful yet equally scary on a scope we just cannot grasp in any reality, and just thought I'd share my views in hopes to spread more awareness, as that is what my channel is about at the end of the day. I wish to pierce people's reading list with mangas not blasted into the mainstream as much, such as Goodnight Punpun, Homunculus, and now Blam, with more to come. So if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe, as it helps keep the channel afloat and in action. Until the next one, peace out.
Blam, 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 blam. Blam, blam.